Hello, everyone. Good evening. Hope all of you are doing great. So we are back with our third session. As we know by now that we are doing every Friday, we are doing some sessions in art, like we are bringing some art forms. It can be the tribal art forms like Worli, can be the uh, writing styles as in calligraphy. So today it is completely something relaxing. We will do something which we all of us have done some time or the other in our life. So it's the Googling. Now, Googling is nothing but like if you have a pen or pencil in your hand, what you do, maybe you are listening to a lecture, you will see you are doing something on the corner of your notebook or the corner of your textbook. If you have a white pad or something, then so you have the entire canvas to work on it. So sometime or the other, maybe during a lecture, during a phone call, we always have done something or the other. Now, Googles are nothing but our subconscious mind is projecting themselves on the paper. And there are a few benefits about Google as well. Google help us to concentrate. Like suppose we are listening to a lecture. What happens is either to we are too much attentive. Even if you are too much attentive, sometimes it is very hard to hold on the attention. But if you keep on doing something with your hand, like you can take a note as well. Like if the lecture is like too fast, you cannot take the note. You can concentrate, like you can put your one of the senses, that is the listening to the lecture, and with your hand you can keep on doing something. So in that way you can hold your attention for a longer period of time. And this is something which I am not saying. This is uh, researchers, psychologists, they are saying this. Okay, so I'll not bore you too much with the lectures and all. So let us see what kind of doodles we can do. And today we will be doing some conscious, um, what you can say, patterns which will help us to concentrate more, to relax more, to stress less, and kind of things. Okay, let us see how we can do that. Okay, so this is the paper. I'll be using almost the entire paper during this half an hour, and we will only do different patterns, and we will do. Now, one more thing I'd like to say: you need not be an artist to begin. A person who is like with zero knowledge of art also begins. I'll show how. Everyone knows how to draw a circle. Now you can add some lines to the circle. And what does it become? It becomes a sun. Right? Now you can make the sun more interesting by making these lines inside, these spiral lines. Again, it's not a very much rocket science. The spirals are very interesting, When we do the spirals, psychology says you can actually reduce your anxiety. Make two lines and you make a tree. Or you can call it a lollipop as well. But like a few more lines, it becomes definitely a tree. Let us see if we can make more. So what did I say? The spirals are relaxing, and they may help us reduce our anxiety. Now around the spirals, around the tree, I made some triangles. Now, triangles actually help us to get, like, angry. Not anger is the right word. I would say it helps us to get more aggressive. So sometimes there are some days when we feel really sluggish, like everything is moving slow, nothing is going fast. At that point, if you do this kind of triangles, you will see after a while you will feel more motivated, more inspired. Now, this kind of patterns is suggested we can do it for a while. Like, it's not that only one line or two lines. We can just keep on doing it for a while to bring a change in our mood. Now, what are these triangles about? They are about motivation, aggression. Now, if the triangles become like too sharp, then they are actually sparking the aggression in us. But like sometimes that kind of aggression is also required, to achieve something. So it's okay if you feel like you can do so. But we will keep in mind that this triangles, if we are doing, they are small and more controlled ones. Now, suppose we are making these triangles, like these angles a little more blind. What does it become? It becomes waves. And waves are just the opposite of these triangles. They are more coming. Where do we see these waves? Generally, in the lake. Generally, we can see any kind of water bodies. We will see this kind of waves. So waves are much more calming. Just opposite to these triangles, these waves make us more peaceful, and it calms down any kind of agitation or aggression which is there in us. Okay. So we have done trees, we have done some waves. Uh, Maybe now I will draw something abstract. Now let us fill it with a few patterns. These lines, the carved lines, they help us in a self control. They actually help us to control ourselves. They talk about self control. And when we are drawing any pattern for a specific amount of time, what happens is we are breathing in a certain way. So when we are breathing in a certain way for a period of time, what does it call? It is called pranayama. You must have all heard about this pranayama, controlled breathing. So see, actually we are through this doodling controlling our breaths. And again, research says you can achieve all the benefits of pranayama by doing this form of art, which is very, very super simple. It's interesting as well, and at the same time, it is beneficial. See, just a few carved lines, and I myself am feeling much, much more calm after doing all these things. So maybe we will do another very interesting and very common Google, which we generally do, is the spider web. You know what it talks about? It talks about patience and perseverance. Again, in the spider web, you will see the curved lines. These are the concave lines. Now, what does a spider web talk about? A spider web shows us like a spider. He puts so much of his effort to make his web, and maybe in a second, it is so fragile. Like with the help of a stick, or maybe if a leaf falls, the wave will be distorted, and again the spider will start making the wave. So it talks a lot about patience and perseverance. And as like I said, this carved lines, it can be concave or it can be convex lines, but these help us to control our own selves. So this is a very common doodle we can see. Moving on, I will again make some very random patterns. Like, see, these are the things, these are the doodles which you can do in between your school hours, in between office, or maybe you are sitting and watching a television. At that time also you can do this. Again, it is a very abstract, organic shape kind of thing. Let us make it interesting. Now, this lines. Let us talk a little about lines. So, when there is this horizontal lines, they talk about our emotional intelligence. So, when we feel a little agitated, or maybe something has happened, we are not feeling so well, we are feeling maybe sad, emotionally disturbed, making these horizontal lines actually will balance our emotions. Okay. What about the vertical lines? The vertical lines talks about our logical thinking, our analytical thinking or logical thinking. That is the vertical lines all about. So if you have any issues, like sometimes we feel like we are facing some problems and we are unable to handle the problems. If we can make these vertical lines for a while, you know what happens in Google? Basically, they say that, again, research says Google helps us to bring forth, like if there is some solutions back in our subconscious, any ideas or something, and we cannot see them, we cannot realize them. So what Google does is it will bring that idea from the subconscious to our conscious mind. Please complete it if you're doing along with me. Okay. So this charms our analytical and our logical thinking. Now, if we are doing the lateral lines, see a lot of times with these lateral lines, okay? These are nothing but 1 minute. Just give me a second. Boss. Yeah. These diagonal lines, they help us to think laterally. Now, what is lateral thinking? Lateral thinking is a very rare thinking pattern which is present in us, and but it is very important. So, rational thinking, analytical thinking, logical thinking, everything comes together to make this lateral thinking, and this really helps us. So, making these diagonal lines help us to think to activate the lateral thinking in our brain. So you must be knowing, like, see, generally what happens when we draw trees, we are drawing this kind of lines, right? When we are drawing water, we are drawing this kind of lines. And in psychology, water is all connected to emotion. Anything which is flowing is connected to emotion, psychology. And what do we do with this lateral or diagonal lines? We generally do mountains, isn't it? So see, these are all very, very connected. If we just put a little belief in these and follow the instructions and consciously Google, we will see the benefits. Okay, now let us talk a lot. We have talked about this lines and angles and all these things. What about circles? So what does this circle like? What you feel like? What it can become? What does it look like? Anyone? What can we make from this circle? Can we make a flower? Looks very likely we can make. Now, when you are feeling bored, yes, complete and wholeness. Thank you, thank you. It talks about completeness or wholeness, a circle. So, when you are feeling like the anything like any disturbances in your day, try to make big or small circles. It can be one circle inside the other. It can be small circles. You can just make a pattern with circles and then fill up with other patterns. Just make more and more circles. Then you can fill up with patterns. See, isn't it interesting? You will see whatever the emotional turmoil is going on inside you will slowly calm down, because circle, as Pallavi mentioned, talks about completeness or wholeness. We all are complete. We all are whole. There is nothing required to make us whole. No one needs to tell us that we are incomplete. We all are complete. And when we draw the circles, slowly we feel that calmness in our mind. Now, coming to the flowers. Since I made a flower over here, when you feel utterly bored, maybe the lecture is so boring, Shoma is boring us so much, try making flowers. It will instantly uplift your mood. I will just show you a few forms of flowers we can do. Another thing, let me mention, Google is completely for yourself. You don't need to impress anyone showing your doodles. You just need to express your own self. So be yourself while you are doodling. Don't need to think of what people will think of this drawing or what it will look like. Just kind of express. See, this is my book. And you can actually make a doodle journal. Write down the date, write down the time, start doodling. And after maybe a few days, when you go back to those doodles, I can assure you, you will feel so happy. And then finally, if you have, like, generally we Google with a pen, like whatever available to us. The Googles are not very, what I may say, in general, these Googles may not be uh, very organized something. So if it is completely okay, that if you do not have your art supplies with you, color or anything, like I'm doing it with a simple pen, you can do it with a pen or pencil, whatever is available with you. And with that only, if you want, you can just put some colors in your doodles. Again, if you want it, if you want, you can beautify it that way. So, like doodles, we can keep on making more and more of them, but today I will keep it till here. We will be back with more interesting doodle videos, or maybe more interesting art videos in the coming weeks. Just let us know. Okay, so one thing I just suggest you, please do practice it at home and give us feedback. Because see, whatever I have told you in this session, this you can actually verify whether Shoma is telling truth, whether all these researches are true or not. So how can you verify? You can practice them. You can make a Google journal, like a small size A5 size book you can keep with yourself. It need not be a white paper, it can be lined papers as well. You do this doodling whenever, at least 5 minutes again, whenever you are feeling like whatever you are doing at that moment is not so interesting. So just do it and let me know how it is helping you. So how you can let us know? We are there in the YouTube. This recording is directly live on YouTube. So in the YouTube comment box, let us know please whether it was helpful and if you have verified and if you have benefited from this session. And if you like it, if you like the sessions, please do subscribe and like the video, because we are very new in this if Friday art sessions. So we will really appreciate that. Thank you and good night.